separate strands, one of which was my work and one of which was Leslie's work, one on Poutama, which is the metaphor of using tuku weaving, and the other one is on co-tutoring into trades classes. So I'll just whiz off this camera and flip over the slides, and I would like you to, if you have any questions, could you please type them to me, and I'll keep an eye on those questions and answer them all at the end. I'll try and talk for only about 10 minutes and give plenty of time for elaboration should you desire. Anyway, you're very welcome. Catch you soon. Right, this is the first slide here. There were three Whitirea Arapiti projects that Whitirea was involved in. One was Mapping Pasifika, which had a webinar last week, and the project Poutama, working with Maori learners and embedding literacy and numeracy. And the third project, Co-tutoring, a model for embedding literacy and numeracy in trades foundation courses. So, the Poutama project has two kind of strands to it. One of them is a resource which is hosted on both the TEC LLM website and also on our internal Moodle website, which comprises a set of video clips demonstrating how to co-tutor and how to embed language literacy and numeracy, and also effective ways of working with Maori learners. So I'll talk about that a little later. The other aspect of that is in the process of doing this project, Poutama, we discovered what a huge motivational spin Poutama was, and everybody knows about, well, not everybody, but you know, the metaphor of Poutama is well explored, but we found that the actual process of tuku weaving was an enormously powerful motivational tool which we've been using with students ever since then. So the first part is when you're actually building the tuku weaving, the first thing you do is have your horizontal slats, which are these dark ones that show here, and we use that to symbolise what the institution contributes to learning, mainly because in this particular instance it's actually made from painted radiata pine quarter round, which is a very Western thing. And on the reverse of a tuku panel are these uprights, which are called kakaho, and these are what a student brings to learning. And when you look at the tuku panel from the front, you see the golden colour of the kakaho showing through, and in LLM terms, that resonates with students' prior learning and recognising students' prior learning and the cultural capital that they bring with them, and that it's a combination of their cultural capital and prior knowledge and the institution knowledge which it is going to impart, which actually contribute equally to a whole. Now, on the extreme left and the extreme right, you will actually see the tūmatakahuki, which are woven from pingao, which is, of course, a coastal plant. And the pingao, the weaving, the purpose of these two things is actually to hold the weaving lattice very firmly. So when we talk to students, we talk about the fact that that by, in our case, academic support and tutorial support, and you know, the subject tutors and our academic support team, we work together to create a really strong framework in which students are free to begin to weave their learning journey. And the other interesting thing, of course, is that in recognising diversity, that we have the black strands, which are Pinus radiata, very Western, and paint, very Western. Then we have the kakaho at the back, which are actually a sort of grassland plant, and then we have the pingao, which is a coastal plant, and then when we get to do the weaving, the tui, the fibre is actually from, I can't remember the name, but actually it just escapes me just temporarily, but the white fabric, the white thread that you can see forming the stitches, or the tūhi, are actually made from the epiphytic plant, which comes from the forest. So once again, we talk to the students about the fact that, you know, they come from many different places, they have many different things to contribute, and much diversity, which all goes to build it. And when you look at the stitches from the front on this particular pattern, it's going stepwise in threes. So we talk about the fact that in your learning journey, you are never alone. You have other people that actually join with you in the journey. You have other people, other services, other people that can actually help you on your journey. And that your journey is, it has plateaus where you consolidate the knowledge, or a place from which to launch into the next bit of stretch, which are of course the upright parts that you see on the right on each part of the stepwise pattern. So, and also you will have noticed, I'll go back to that first, you will have noticed that of course this side, the tūhi side, is just very beautifully tidy, and the pattern is clearly evident. And notice that golden bit showing through from the back, which is what the students are bringing too. Anyway, so here you have the stitches, and the pattern is very clear from the front, because often in a course, the subject tutors, of course, are a lot more clear about the content than the students are at that particular time. But as you can see on the back of the stitches, that the student's responsibility is like the weaver on the back of the panel's responsibility, which is to tie off the knowledge very securely so that it is firmly fixed. And that you can actually see the pattern, you can actually see the pattern from the back. It's less easy to see, but it's discernible, and so we talk about the student's responsibility to actually tie down that knowledge as they gain it. Now we get to the teamwork involved in the tūhi process, and you can see that you weave a panel by having a person on the front and a person on the back, and the person on the front of the panel is responsible for quality control and for the overall design, and for seeing where they might be going astray as well. And the person on the back is responsible for this tying off and making sure it's neat and tidy and secure. And that during the process of weaving, you'll actually see weavers talking back and forth, and that process is called tūhi, where they're talking back and forth. And we think that that is very much like the process of ako, the process where teachers are learning, learners are teaching, where there's a constant checking of understanding, and good teachers, of course, are gauging where the students are and adjusting things to find common ground from which to launch into the next piece of new knowledge. And this is actually a screenshot of what the Moodle page looks like. So the videos won't actually play, so I'm not even going to attempt that. But in our Moodle page, we actually have, on the left you can see a list of titles, and one of the first one, which is off screen, is actually sort of like an index of, I want to find out about blah blah, and it puts them through to the appropriate video. Each video has a little time clip on it and a little teaser about it, so that people can actually pick and browse and just go for what they need and don't have to watch the whole DVD. And it has 3 tabs: the key content tab, which has the key points obviously. Things to think about are actually ways, keys are questions to get people to think about their own practice and how they might apply the knowledge. And lastly, a transcript, so people can reprise what people were doing. So this little bit that I've just raced through is all about how we've used the Poutama for motivating students, and also this last little piece on how tutors can use the clips. And the clips lead probably into the next piece I'm going to do about co-tutoring. And I've got to say, this motivational aspect of Tūtu has been amazing eye-opener for us, and an amazing eye-opener for a lot of students too, actually, really effective. Anyway, next bit is Leslie did a research project last year, because we've been involved with LLM in various guises for maybe 5 years or so now. And starting with FLP money, we had team teaching occurring, and so this idea of team teaching in LLM has actually been around a long time. And so Leslie did this research project. Whoops, heck, where's that there? That's right, I just hit something. Anyway, Leslie did a research project on co-tutoring. She actually went in and observed 2 different classes where co-tutoring was happening. And in one class, the intervention was about literacy, and in the other class, the intervention was about numeracy. And you would find that, curiously enough, in the trade skills class, where there was a literacy intervention, there was actually a very big shift in listening, speaking, and writing skills. In automotive, where there was no literacy intervention, there was a very small shift. And conversely, in trade skills, where they didn't have numeracy intervention, there was a small shift in numeracy. But in automotive, where they had a lot of numeracy intervention, there was a bigger shift. The vehicle for doing this was actually the co-tutoring. And I could actually elaborate later about the different sorts of co-tutoring, but essentially there was an LLN specialist tutor and a subject tutor and students, and the mode of the co-tutoring fluctuated across at least 3 different models of co-tutoring, usually being a form of tag teaching. So I'll elaborate on that if anybody wants to know, but I'll just push on just for now, because time is pushing on. Anyway, Leslie in her research did a literature search, and it showed that, curiously enough, when you had embedded LLM into level 1 and 2 vocational programs, you had a 16% higher retention rate in those classes, and that the level 2 courses had a 26% higher success rate. And curiously enough, we found that that was the case in this particular instance, that the 2 classes we worked with were actually had a history of being very low retention. It's been almost expected that there would be low retention, and particularly in the literacy area, students weren't particularly interested in doing anything that smacked of literacy, and so the commitment to those classes have been particularly poor for some years too. And we found at this time, I went along to the trade skills presentation at the end of the year, where they actually did a PowerPoint presentation and spoke for 10 minutes each. And honestly, the quality of those presentations was absolutely superb. And these were young men who had been inarticulate grunters at the beginning of the year, and who had grown tremendously in confidence in not only speaking, but in passing on knowledge they knew, and in constructing all kinds of PowerPoints and other aids to help their performance. And there's a wee clip on the website about that too, that you can have a look at and see the kind of things they were doing, which is just amazing. Anyway, we noticed that the success rate was noticeably better, and the retention was noticeably better in these 2 programs too. And in addition to that, the vocational teacher has assumed a greater and greater role in embedding language literacy and numeracy in other classes and in this class. So it's almost PD by stealth as well, you know. And this is my thank you. You know, if you want to, more information, you can email me or email Leslie. I'm happy to talk about Tūtu and Poutama, and Leslie's happy to talk about the particular aspects of co-tutoring. So, have any of you got questions? And I'm happy to respond. Hi folks, I've put the camera on to look a bit more friendly while there's a deathly silence on the chat. I thought you might be interested to know about the different sorts of co-tutoring models that there are, and one of the people who's written quite a bit on this is Chris Mitch. Can't remember her first name actually, but anyway, there are three clearly distinct models. One of them is what you might call the roving model, where you have a content tutor up the front and the specialist tutor roves around the classroom and helps students who look like they're confused. So that's actually probably the model that content tutors actually feel the happiest about to start with, because not everybody feels entirely enthusiastic about having somebody else in their classroom. And the second model is called tag teaching, which is where teachers jump in and out. They tend to be doing things like impromptu clarifications to the whole class, or seizing teachable moments, or demonstrating particular skills like note-taking or summarising or mind maps or something like that to the whole class, or sharing information or answering questions as required to the whole class. And the third model is that which we call upfront, which is where the vocational tutor and the specialist tutor have planned in advance to alternate in front of the class, doing various different aspects, and where there'll be an overt teaching segment by the co-tutor as well as the vocational tutor, and where there will be a specific LLM component usually. Well, yeah, inevitably is actually. There'll be a specific component, so that and it's always contextualised and whatever is the task of the day, and that segment will actually be taught to the whole class, not just to a few. And we have found that this is really in every class where we've tried co-tutoring. We've had partnerships of a vocational tutor and a specialist tutor over some weeks, but the results are always excellent for the students, that even able students do even better, and weaker students tend to get lifted up, and that we're all on the same page, talking the same jargon, and it works well. So, any questions? Okay, folks, I hope that if you had questions, you don't feel they weren't answered because they weren't asked. However, I hope I wasn't talking so much that you're completely swamped. We're happy, Leslie and I are very happy to answer questions by email. Thank you very, very much for participating, and have a lovely day. Bye. So we do have questions. Right. Okay, bye, Ken. And thanks, Anne, for your comment.